Now, yes, in the months to follow, 1933 onwards, Hitler kept doing more and more outrageous things, and reporting on them became legitimately dangerous, right? So I'm quoting again from the Smithsonian magazine about the American media treating all of this, right? It says, yes, the American press tended to condemn Hitler's well-documented anti-Semitism in the early 1930s, but there were plenty of exceptions. Some papers downplayed reports of violence against Germany's Jewish citizens as propaganda like that, which proliferated during the foregoing World War. Many, even those who categorically condemned the violence, repeatedly declared it to be at an end, showing a tendency to look for return to normalcy. Journalists were aware that they could only criticize the German regime so much and maintain their access. When a CBS broadcaster's son was beaten up by brown shirts for not saluting the Führer only, no? Führer, yeah. For
This
not
is a
saluting
throwback to
the...
one of the episodes. I think
Yeah. The number of times I talk about Hitler, I don't know why I can't remember it's Führer. It's amazing. When the Chicago Daily News, Edgar Maurer wrote that Germany was becoming an insane asylum in 1933, the Germans pressured the State Department to rein in American reporters. Alan Dulles, who eventually became the director of the CIA, told Maurer he was taking the German situation too seriously. I'm sorry, I have to pause here. Is anybody surprised that a person who was capable of becoming the director of CIA said that, oh, you're taking Nazi Germany too seriously?
CIA. You said CEA.
CIA.
Yes.
Oh, CIA.
Yes. I
CIA.
don't know what CEA is, but I'm assuming it's a completely different organization. It might be a very good organization for all we know. We genuinely don't know what CEA is. But
I also don't know what CIA is. I meant the CIA. I meant the terrible organization called CIA. Right. So yeah, very, very valid. Like the person fits the description to me in this case. I'm continuing the quote. Maurer's publisher then transferred him out of Germany in fear of his life. By the later 1930s, most US journalists realized their mistake in underestimating Hitler or failing to imagine just how bad things could get. Though there remained infamous exceptions like Douglas Chandler, who wrote a loving paean to Changing Berlin for National Geographic in 1937, Dorothy Thompson, who judged Hitler a man of startling insignificance in 1928, realized her mistake by mid-decade when she, like Maurer, began raising the alarm. No people ever recognized their dictator in advance, she reflected in 1935. He never stands for election on the platform of dictatorship. He always represents himself as the instrument of incorporated national will. Applying the lesson to the US, she wrote, when our dictator turns up, you can depend on it that he will be one of the boys and he will stand for everything traditionally American. This is, it's fantastic. It is,
it
this,
definitely came to a century from then, right? So it's fine.
yeah.
It's fine.
She definitely and completely accidentally predicted Donald Trump. And also, if you apply it to the Indian context, Narendra Modi, right? She fully predicted. But I take deep offense to this statement that he never stands for election on the platform of dictatorship, and that no people ever recognize their dictator in advance, because that was categorically untrue, right? People did recognize their dictator. People were actually trying to tell them pretty much consistently, but Thompson's own reporting was less of reporting and more of an op-ed. I mean, it seems like Thompson was just trying to sort of get away with what she had done and not acknowledge the fact that she had made a disastrous call of judgment, that she did a really bad job. It was not just a mistake. She actually, just shook the fundamentals of her job really terribly. This was such a shit thing to say, considering that it didn't lead to, inconsequential things. It changed the course of history. Arguably, even till date, people are suffering because of this, right? Because Of course, Hitler was the person to blame, and Nazi party was the party to blame. But people who were supposed to do their jobs didn't do so. 20 years later, when we look at India, we are going to blame the media. We still blame the media, but it's not everybody blaming the media. The next generation is going to blame the media for doing such a shit ass job, right? For doing mango style journalism. Like, what the fuck? I was so upset reading this. I was like, I can understand journalists saying later on that, fuck, we fucked up. We fucked up really bad. But saying that nobody can recognize their dictator in advance is, is a balls thing to do. Okay. And also, let's remember that Hitler didn't become anti Semitic after getting elected in 1933. Right? By 1920, let's look at the events, right? By 1920, he was already pushing the anti-immigrants agenda in the Nazi party, right? He had what is that manifesto or document, the National Socialist Manifesto or something like that, that they had published. That was an anti-immigrant agenda, despite the fact that Hitler himself was fucking Austrian. I don't know what he was on about, but that, right?
In his defense, he was from the Aryan race, so he gets a pass. That's fine. That's fine. As long as you belong to the Aryan race, you can come from anywhere and be fine with it. It's fine.
That's true. Also in 1923, he tried to hold a coup similar to the March on Rome, the march that brought Mussolini to power. Right? We spoke about that in the last episode. He was not hiding who he was. Okay. And nor have people like Winston Churchill, Benjamin Netanyahu, or literally any leader of Israel, Donald Trump, or literally any leader of American, of US, Narendra Modi, Viktor Orban. Nobody has. All of these people have told us very clearly who they are before they came to power. So this is not an excuse. This is a bullshit thing to say, right? The problem is that the media has either worshipped these assholes or underestimated them or misreported a bunch of things. Or what is also very, very common, they've both sided things, right? That masquerade as being neutral or unbiased, but actually just downplaying the deeply disturbing and very clearly tyrannical views and actions of dictators, right? So I'm coming back to that article from HistoryNet that of Dorothy Thompson's interview of Hitler, right? That we spoke about earlier. In the same interview, she called him undignified, ill-poised, and had an expression of a caricature. This also happened, and I'm quoting from it. When you come to power, she asked, will you abolish the constitution of the German Republic? I will get into power legally, he said. I will abolish this parliament and the Weimar Constitution afterward. I will found an authority state from the lowest cell to the highest instance. Everywhere there will be responsibility and authority above, discipline and obedience below. He was admitting that he planned to create a dictatorship and she believed he was telling the truth. But she couldn't believe that this little man could actually succeed in that grandiose goal. Imagine a would-be dictator setting out to persuade a sovereign people to vote away their rights. That idea seemed preposterous to her.